السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولله الحمد والله أكبر على ما هدانا. الله أكبر على ما رزقنا من بهيمة الأنعام. والحمد لله على ما أبلانا. سبحان الله الذي ابتلى البلايا بأنواع البلايا لعل يقتل الجزاء وليحسن العطايا. فبعث الرسل ونصب هداة خير الصبر ضعيفة الحالات قوية في عظائم النيات. ولو شاء لجعله لقوة شديدة فظلت الأعناق لهم خاضعين وخفضت لهم أجنحة المستكبرين. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وخاتم المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا بالقاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. Eid Mubarak to all of you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower His special blessings upon you on this very important day in our life. Today's Eid is related to Hajj. Eid al-Fitr was linked to fasting. After hunger and thirst for 29 to 30 days, you have the right to celebrate. But when it comes to this Eid, this is the Eid which is linked to Hajj. And so it's important to look at this gathering. While Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants the Muslims all around the world, those who are not in Hajj, to gather in their masajid to celebrate this day as a special day. The message of Hajj and the entire exercise that people go through can be summarized in one word: submission. Submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the essence of Hajj, and that is the essence of the meaning of the word Islam. Islam means to submit ourselves to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is amazing is, as we look at the whole universe, if you look at the ayat of Quran, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about everything in the entire universe, He uses the word aslama. Everything submits to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From the biggest of planets that we can see or know about, to the smallest of an atom in this universe, there is a sense of movement around them, or with them, or within them. And everything moves in one direction. But the amazing thing is that everything does aslama, submits to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala according to the design that He has made. The earth, the moon, the sun, the planets, everything, they don't have a choice. You look at Surah Yasin and other surahs, Shams and Qamar, everything goes according to its own pattern. Nor can the Shams come before Qamar, neither the Qamar can come before the Shams. There is no overtaking, because everything is designed by Allah and everything submits to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In one of the surahs, Allah says, وَالشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ وَالنُّجُومُ مُسَخَّرَاتٌ بِأَمْرِهِ. Everything is musakharat, submits to the amr and command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَلَا لَهُ الْخَلْقُ وَالْأَمْرُ. Creation and managing the creation is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The khalq is in His hand, amr is in His hand. It is only human being. In this whole universe, it is only the human being who has been given the free will. And that is the biggest of, test and trial that we have. And that is why submission becomes the purpose of life for us. Allah says, I have not created you as robots, but I would like you to follow the path. I will show you the way, give you the guides, the books, but I would like you to go and submit by yourself. And therefore, even there is a symbolism. When Hujjaj go to Makkah and do tawaf around the Kaaba, why is it counterclockwise? Because everything else that you see in the universe, from the planets to the atom, everything rotates in counterclockwise form. And Allah wants a Muslim to go around the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the same format, but by His will. And that is the essence of Islam. That is the purpose of our life in this dunya. You know, there's an interesting title to a book by a professor of mathematics in the US who converted to Islam and written many books. He talks about his own journey, and the title is very, very applicable to each one of us. The struggle to surrender. That summarizes our life. It is a struggle to surrender to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is Islam. And, you know, when we look at the example of Ibrahim, he is a Muslim in that sense. He is the one who gave us this name, Muslim, somebody who submits to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't want to prolong the khutbah, but let me end with a statement from Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. In Nahl al-Balagha, in these sections of his sayings at the end, saying number 289, he talks about somebody who was close to Ali, and he has died in his lifetime, and Ali praises him. And the entire praise is very powerful, but he says, this person was great in my eyes, because the whole world was insignificant in his eyes. If the dunya is saghir in your eyes, you become kabir in the eyes of Amir. And then, describing this fellow, then Ali at the end he says, فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِهَذِهِ الْخَلَائِقِ. He says, I urge you to acquire these qualities which this person had. فَالْزَمُوهَا. Try to, stay with these qualities and make it part of your nature. And if you're not able to follow it and do everything that this fellow used to do, at least try to do some of it. And out of that list of the qualities that Amir al-Mu'mineen mentions, I just would like to share one here in connection of submission to the will of God. Especially in this part of the world. We have so many challenges. We know what is black and what is white. But the area of white and black is a minor part of our life. The challenge is the gray area. We are not sure, is this halal, is this haram? Because if it is known clearly to us as haram, we know what to do. But whenever there is gray area, that's where we get into a problem. And that is where we have to realize what is expected from us. The expectation is to submit to the will of God. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, وَكَانَ إِذَا بَدَهُ أَمْرَانِ. This fellow, whom he praises, he says, if an issue was confronted by him, and he didn't know, should I go this way or that way? يَنْزُرُ أَيُّهُمَا أَقْرَبُ إِلَى الْحَوَىٰ. He will look at the two options, and he will see which one is closer to his desire. Once he identifies that, then he goes the opposite way. So in gray area, what do? The option is this or that. And nobody gives you clear fatwa on this issue. Everybody says, if that, then God. And you're still in the gray area. That's the way you look at your own heart. Ali says, this person, whenever he was not sure, he will look inside. He says, once I identify one of the two options to be closer to my desire, hawa and hawas, then I know I don't have to go that way, I have to go to the opposite way. And that is where you can attain the level of Islam and submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let us make a pledge to surrender, to struggle to surrender to the will of Allah in private moments and public life, in our family matters and business dealings, and in interaction with the friends as well as the members of our community. أحسن الحديث كتاب الله العزيز بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد